that didn't want to go on. Hello again, YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. And today we're on a big road trip. So I've just pulled up at the supercharger here in Edinburgh. We have done 165 miles, hang on, let me focus that in, 165 miles so far, 325 watt hours per mile. That's quite a lot. It's been really, really windy. And if you go onto the energy chart, you can see, well, it says staying below 70 would have saved 1.4%, but actually what's really burned the power has been the wind, and it's been telling me all the way down that it's been windy, windy, windy woo. Anyway, we are charging. We are charging at 194 kilowatts, which is good. So up here at the McDonald's and the petrol station, they've now added EV chargers as well, which is good because it means that people in Porsche Taycans and the like can charge up. But the sign that's up there says maximum stay 30 minutes, unless you're in an EV, in which case it's 90 minutes. And I'll be honest, a 90-minute stay to charge the car sounds like absolute nightmare. We wouldn't need anything like that because we're in a Tesla. So we have just finished eating our late breakfast in McDonald's and we're on our way back up to the car. And in the 20 minutes from plugging the car in on 16%, it had already got to 69%. So I dropped the family off. I dropped them off and walked down, and by the time I got down there, my breakfast was being brought out by the serving staff. No time wasted, and now we're basically walking our way back 5 minutes up the road and the car will be ready to go. And this really is the point with Tesla on this kind of trip. You don't actually waste any time because we'd been in the car for just over 3 hours at that point, and we needed a break. You know, you can't just drive and drive and drive because most people aren't Superman. As we walk back, I should probably say what this trip is. So we live up near Ferrybridge in northern Aberdeenshire, and we are driving down to Dartford, which is just over the Thames crossing in Kent. So it's basically a combination of family and business trip, and we do this a couple of times a year. It's never a problem. But it is kind of all day in the car. Now, okay, we have stopped, and by the time we get back to the car, we're going to have been plugged in and charging for 35 minutes. But an all-day drive, I would suggest that most people who aren't Superman actually need to take a break anyway. In our case, we got up early, we set off early, and we wanted some food. And Mackie D's is fantastic for that. I mean, that's literally what it is. So we're going to be back in the car for another leg, I think about 4 hours on the next leg. And again, we'll take another break because I can't drive all day and I don't want to without taking a break. I know some keyboard warriors out there do say, oh, my car's got a range of 700 miles. Yeah, but my bladder doesn't. While we're waiting for the last person to get back in the car, we are, okay, we're now on 92, but I'm going to keep sticking power in because actually she's on her way back now. So the route is, we are going from Edinburgh, A68 route, so Jedburgh, past Newcastle Airport. Hopefully the A1 is being nice. It's suggesting stops at the moment at Scotch Corner, boo, and then Grantham. In reality, as it's saying Scotch Corner on 26%, we're going to go past that and go to Ferrybridge, and then that can just be a one stop. Yeah. We are once again on the climb to Carter Bar, as I've been on quite a few of these videos, and unfortunately we've got a big coach in front of us trundling his way up the hill, and the only question is he going to disappear off and let his passengers off to take pictures of the big England flag as we get to it, because this is a bit slow. Come on, coach, you know you want to stop. Let's have everyone take pictures of the flag. Yay! I knew it. I absolutely knew it. Good. Saves me overtaking him. The only good news there, of course, is that he's out of the way, because then the bad news is we're back in England. We're going past Newcastle with the Angel of the North coming up. We've done 120 miles since the supercharger and 257 kilowatt hours a mile, which is fantastic. Now the wind's not blowing. It's nice and efficient, which is the way that it should be. So we're going to have done Edinburgh to Ferrybridge non-stop, which is exactly the kind of long distance run that you can do if you get a long range Tesla, either Model 3 or Model Y. Ooh, can we see the Angel poking out the trees? Barely, but there's our wing. You can see it better, I think, in the other direction, but never mind. Anyway, we are nearly an hour, 50 minutes off Ferrybridge, and we'll check back in then. Ferrybridge, having just arrived after a 4-hour stint on 8% left in the battery, and we have news from Ferrybridge because, have I got this right, they are expanding the number of chargers. So there were 12 here. There's going to be more, because look, we've suddenly got, what have we got? Yeah, 5 new ones going in. So we're going to have, hang on, 1, 3, 5, 6 new ones going in. So we're going to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're going to have 16 by the look of it. That'll be good, because this site does get quite busy. Right, anyway, I definitely need a leg stretch. Don't listen to anyone who says I can drive all day, because they're talking out the bum. Let's get some more power in the car. Okay, we have just gone through 20 minutes charging and we are up to 69%. It was on 7.5 when we came in. We're still getting 73 kilowatts. So there's plenty of charge in it now to be able to go. So, and probably has been for about 10 minutes. There are plenty of places to stop on the A1 heading south towards London, but we're not planning on stopping. The family basically wants to get in the car and go, have a longer stop, because genuinely after 4 hours there, the kids were like, are we stopping? Can we get some food? So we need to stop anyway. But I'm basically, while they're still eating, and they are still eating, I've just come back to the car to film, but while they're still eating, I'm basically going to carry on charging. I'm not losing any time doing it this way. But the charge limit is set to 95. Now, you shouldn't normally set it to 95, but what on earth does it matter when you're on a long trip, because you're going to burn it off anyway. And then the other question that everybody asks is, how much do these charging sessions cost? So you can see here, it's showing you, we have put in 49 kilowatt hours, and it's currently costing 41p a kilowatt hour, so it's £20.09. That is, how can I put this, cheaper than if I went across the car park into the petrol station, where they're going to charge you a huge premium for filling up here. So 41p a kilowatt hour, that is significantly cheaper than how much GridServe are going to charge you over there for their chargers. Yeah, having just looked on ZapMap, they are 79p a kilowatt hour versus our 41, so almost double the price. Admittedly, these new units that went in recently can give you 350 kilowatts if you've got a car that's capable of taking 350 kilowatts at the top end, which basically nobody has. So I'm not entirely sure that there's that much of a difference. What I do know is that all of these Teslas will take 250. Mine went straight onto something chunky when we first came in. Even now, on what are we on, 74%, I'm taking 69 kilowatts, which if I went onto the original Ecotricity chargers, which are still here, they topped out at 50. And if you recall, if you've seen my videos driving around parts of Scotland and using the ChargeSpace Scotland units, they top out at about 42. So even now, with a battery which is getting pretty full and is obviously getting pretty warm, I am still getting a faster charge than I would have been on one of those. And there's quite a lot of cars you can buy today where the fastest speed they will take is 120, which means that they'd be down to that pretty damn quickly. So it is just that point to make. I'm still stopped, I'm still charging, but I'm doing that because that's the way that my family prefer to travel. If it was me, I'd have put up to about 50-55% and then had another go probably at Grantham just to top it off, because obviously the emptier the battery, the faster it charges. I want to get there quicker, so I do more stops. They don't want to. Just before I unplug, there is something to be said about a Model Y on a long trip, which is, have we all got bags of space? Yes, bags of space. Yes, good. Ignore the mirror coming in, but bags and bags and bags of space, which is good because you want loads of space if you're spending all day in the car, which basically we are. So I think it's pretty much time to go. It's actually telling me 5 minutes to remaining to continue the trip, but when I put the doofer on here and get all the way down to the bottom, it's telling me I'm going to arrive. Basically, there's a hotel next to the supercharger at Dartford, and I'm staying there, and it's saying I'm going to arrive on 17%. So I'm not quite sure why it's doing this. We have seen this before where it can be a wee bit conservative with regards to how long it wants you to charge for, but we've literally all just got back in the car now as I started recording this, so this is fun. On the bright side, the car's still comfortable. The car is cool considering it's 24 outside, and we've done 520 miles since we set off this morning, so you know, still comfy, still reasonably happy, although once we clear this junction and the traffic eases up, I'll be a bit happier. Finally at journey's end, practically 580 miles, so a couple more through the junction and down to the hotel, so a smidge under 600. And okay, we've done a couple of charging stops, and also we've stopped at Granny's house to drop the kids off, but it's going to have been just over 12 hours in total. So as I record this wrap-up bit, I'm actually plugged in at the Dartford supercharger, which in a wonderful bit of coincidence is directly next to the Hilton at the bottom of the Dartford Bridge that we stay at when we're down here. So planning, guys, planning. So what I wanted to do now was to talk a little bit about how much this trip has cost, how easy it has been, and what it's been like. So in terms of costs, I set off from home on 95% of the battery. So at the 15.67 pence per kilowatt hour that I pay for electricity at home, that meant that I had spent £11.61 to charge the car up. At Edinburgh, we input 57 kilowatt hours at a cost of 33p a kilowatt hour, which was a cost then of a total of £18.81. And then at Ferrybridge, we put 64 kilowatt hours in, and they cost 41p a kilowatt hour, so a total cost at Ferrybridge of £26.24. So all in, this trip down here of 582 miles has cost £56.66. And if you divide one from the other, it's 9.7p a mile. 9.7. That is cheap in this day and age, with the kind of prices that you have to pay for unleaded or for diesel. 9.73 pence a mile is absolutely a steal. Now let's just talk about the ease of doing this trip. At no point have I had any concerns at all about range, or having to think about range, or even where to stop. The car tells you where to stop, and I know where it's going to go to. So the plan all along was Edinburgh followed by Ferrybridge, because I have done this trip before and I know that they are actually very neatly placed for the kind of times when we would want to stop. The Edinburgh supercharger is about 3 hours away from home, and we had set off without having had any breakfast, so everybody was hungry. So we went to McDonald's, we had breakfast, yum, as a treat anyway. Wouldn't do it every day, but we had basically breakfast. As soon as we'd finished breakfast, we went back to the car was ready to go. It's then a 4-hour leg from Edinburgh down to Ferrybridge. And by the way, guys, after 3 hours I want a break. After 4 hours, where frankly it's for the first 2.5 or so hours of that, maybe a bit longer, it is on spectacular bits of country roads rather than motorways, I definitely want a break. So 4 hours of driving, again, we had a break. The kids wanted to eat again because they're kids. So okay, fine, we'll stop and we'll get them something there. When they had finished eating, their car was ready to go. So at no point did I make additional stops to charge. At no point was I waiting around for charge to finish. When the car was ready, we went. So that's it, guys. If you want to do a long distance all day drive in a Tesla in the UK in 2024, even with your kids in the back, it's no problem at all. It really isn't. Don't listen to all of the nonsense that says about you're going to be charging up for 500 hours and you're going to be stuck there and it's going to cost you 300 quid or something. None of that is true if you just get a Tesla. Other brands, other chargers, you might have more of a problem. Anyway, that's it for this video. Please click the like button if you've enjoyed it, because then the algorithm does its thing. Share the video if you've got people saying, oh, I couldn't get an EV. Like, subscribe, all of the usual yada yada yada. I will see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.